Republicans are also upset about the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act. Again, this was a 3,100-page document, and again, continuing the sort of war path that the United States has been on and the war machine that we fund every single year. The reason they're mad, though, is not because of that. They love war, but they're mad that it didn't include their so-called anti-woke pieces of legislation and all the culture war stuff that they wanted. Because according to Reuters, that final version of NDA left out those provisions addressing divisive social issues such as access to abortion and treatment of transgender service members that had been included in the version passed by the Republican majority House over the objections of Democrats, threatening to derail the legislation. For a sense of how they're taking it, here is none other than Steve Bannon.
The NDA just passed. It just passed. This is Mike Johnson, and don't tell me you're a Christian. I don't want to hear you're a Christian. Don't wear your faith. Don't give me the Bible. I don't hear more Bible verse. When you've allowed the transgender, you've allowed all that garbage, all that demonic trash throughout the defense budget. You wonder why you can't get. You wonder why you can't get that you can't get kids, red-blooded American boys and girls to get into the military.
Steve Bannon reacting to the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act because it didn't include all the so-called anti-woke amendments that Republicans have been trying to pass. Here's Representative Matt Gaetz on the floor explaining that.
We add legislation to eliminate the chief diversity officer at DOD because that was the fountainhead of so many of these woke bad ideas. And yet the House receded on that position. Many of our colleagues were concerned that it seemed when you look at our military bases or installations, they were flying flags that weren't the American flag, the LGBTQ flag, the Black Lives Matter flag, whatever that flag is with all those pink and black triangles in it. And that desire that we had to have the American flag, the flags of our service branches, that was also surrendered by the House of Representatives to the Senate. We wanted a parent's Bill of Rights in DOD schools so that you wouldn't get the strange material that goes into radical gender ideology or race ideology. That abandoned by the House of Representatives.
Yes, again, somehow the military is too woke for the far right. Representative Matt Gaetz voted against the NDA in part because of that, and as did Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we'll get to in a second. But again, this is all about the fact that they wanted to include legislation about preventing service members from seeking any abortion care, number one, reproductive care, informing them about their rights as trans service members and or helping them get a gender affirming care. Again, just proof the military is not woke. And even they're like, no. We're for human rights of like our own service members. Yeah. We'll support indiscriminate bombing of civilians abroad. We've tortured before, but we also understand that people deserve basic health care, and especially when it comes to reproductive and gender affirming care. So luckily that wasn't included in any of this. But a little pivot, Marjorie Greene included her, the anti-woke BS as a reason that she voted against this, but also she is correct in that she was against this NDA because of the warrantless wiretapping. So she tweeted, the NDA didn't remove Ukraine funding, doubled it to 600 million, funded abortion vacations, kept trans in our military. Worst of all, they shoved the FISA spy court into our defense bill. The NDA should never reauthorize the weaponization of our justice system that Joe Biden's DOJ and the FBI are using to spy on American citizens. I voted no. It was Bush's and Obama's and Trump's. But okay, I guess Biden's continued it. But Cenk, this is that, faux populism where they're right on some things and completely wrong on others.
Yeah, no, I don't care that it's faux as long as they vote the right way. Look, they're frustrating and hilarious figures. At least Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned the FISA warrant issue there, right? Now she thinks it's deep state and it just started on Tuesday. To your point, her beloved Donald Trump did it as well. Right, let alone Bush and etc. But hey, if you're against that, great, I love it. Conservatives, welcome to the cause. Happy to have you. And by the way, you're right. That's government tyranny, and that's exactly the type of thing that you don't want. That's the whole point of the "Don't Tread on Me" flags, etc. So thank you for figuring that out. It took a while, but I'm happy to have you at the party, right? and And I am encouraged that there is some strain of right wing, and it's growing every day among the voters that are against endless wars. In fact, among the voters, Republican voters, I think it's very large. And now imagine if that strain joined the left, progressives, in saying, no, we don't want to keep flushing $886 billion down the drain every year. We want it to go to us, to the American people, instead of to your donors or the defense contractors. That would be an amazing development. And it has partially begun here. But guys, as I looked through the news and I was hoping that they were going in that direction, there was a smattering of it, as you saw there from Marjorie Taylor Greene. But really the number one thing they were all obsessed with is that the military doesn't hate trans, gay, and black people enough. Like, that's your issue with the military? That's your number one issue? And then the wasting of our money is number 3. Spying on Americans with government tyranny, et cetera, is number 2. But mainly you just want to make sure the military hates gay and trans people? Man, that is an incredibly skewed way of looking at reality. But I'll take all the no votes, and one day we if the two sides can finally see straight, maybe we can get regain control of our government and have them stop wasting all this money and instead direct it to the American people.
Yeah, 100%. I also just want to name that like most of the spying that happens from the US government happens against leftist organizations, racial justice groups, and historically has happened that way. And so if Marjorie Greene and Matt Gaetz just looked into that, they'd be like, oh no, that's fine. That's fine. We just meant like don't tap like any like white supremacists or Nazis. Like that's what we don't want. But I think you're right, Cenk. I mean, what's hard is that we can't come together around hating trans people. We can't come together around hating diversity in like government institutions. But these strategic votes around let's vote no on the NDA, I don't care. You've got your backwards reasons. Okay, we've got we want less money for wars abroad, more money for people here reasons.
Yeah, if they go backward and we go forward, we might wind up in the same place. Okay, and look, yes, on social issues we could fight till the cows come home, and we will, right? But there's nothing wrong with agreeing on votes where we have mutual interest for whatever reason, right? And so on voting this down, one day we're going to have a big enough coalition to vote it down. And the corruption is the number one problem. And when you talk to Republican voters, they share our disgust with that corruption. So the old days of the hacks in Washington saying, how dare you support the troops, right? That stuff doesn't fly anymore. And Republican voters don't give a damn what mainstream media says or what the corrupt politicians say. That's their one upside, and it's a significant one, right? And the progressives don't care either. And we have now our own media and social media, et cetera. And one day mainstream media and mainstream politicians are gonna wake up and realize they're on an island, and we've got them surrounded. And we're not gonna allow for votes like this that constantly rob us blind. If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.